sometimes people ask about who we want to see come back to Doctor Who. So we thought we'd take a bit of a dive into that this evening now and try and pick 6 companions that we would like to see back.
Yes. Yes, we have.
Because it gets brought up all the time, and with different spin-off rumours, things here and there. There is one rumour that I do want to address though, because it's been another week and there's been another Doctor Who leak. This time, the gobshite media, press, and I've just completely forgotten how to speak then.
Yeah.
The gobshite media, the printed press, arseholes of the land. Who are apparently out. What they're reporting isn't like necessarily a bad thing. It could be true. It could not be. There's been a rumor about a departing member of the Doctor Who cast that isn't Shikigatwa, but we're not going to elaborate on anything else because we're going to add fuel to these leakers and gobsheets.
Yeah.
One thing
the best way to do it.
Yeah. One thing I will say though is maybe just be careful around like sort of the phrases that you use, because everything was saying so-and-so dropped from Doctor Who, so-and-so has been axed from Doctor Who, and it's like they've been fired. And it's almost like that this happened with Christopher Eccleston back in 2005 and had a really negative impact on his health and, his opinion of Doctor Who in general, and really made him feel quite alienated from the whole show. So maybe let's not do this with a 19-year-old actress who's got her entire career ahead of her. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We've obviously looked into these leaks for this one because it's quite a big one. We couldn't really ignore them.
Well, when everyone's plastering it all over Facebook and Twitter as well, which doesn't help.
There's nothing to say that said person has left on bad terms. It sounds very much like she's just happy to have done the one season and that's it.
She's been seen filming bits for the second series, so it's not like she's just got, I'm just doing one series and then buggering off. It's probably just like a same situation with Martha, where she does the one series and then pops back in a couple of times in the following series.
I mean, she's very busy as well. Like as you said, she's 19 years old. She's done a lot on EastEnders. She's probably still Corrie, same thing.
Should be fair.
Yeah. So she's probably still got a lot tied up in that as well that she's got to film. So there's bound to be a clash of interest at this point.
I just think it might have been a case that she doesn't want to do a role for too long, and it's fine. Like we are filming quite ahead of what we're seeing on TV anyway. The filming has basically happened for the Christmas special this year, and into the next series. So I wouldn't stress too much about it. Basically, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But let's be careful about how we talk about them and adding flames to fires that just don't really need to be there in the first place.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
But, anyway, that's quite calm for me talking about leaks. I'm quite proud of myself.
Yeah, you and me both, to be honest. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's the green tea. It's done wonders, honestly. Anyway, companions we want to see return. Should we just open up and just have the most, hack one that there is and just say Susan?
Yeah, might as well.
I feel like Susan is the most obvious choice, really.
Because she's the original
companion and only known relative of the Doctor that we've seen throughout the whole history of the show. And I just think that her return is easily doable. You could quite easily have Carol Ann Ford come back as an older Susan and then maybe even regenerate her into a new form and have a new actress take on the role, or actor. You could have a male Susan. Stephen. No, we've had Stephen. I don't know.
Sue's man.
That was one of the worst puns I've ever heard in my entire life, but I still found it quite funny, which I think says a lot about me. Right, anyway, puns aside, I think there's a lot you can do with Susan because she's, and there was definitely some things about her, especially early on, that made her quite different from just Time Lords in general. We see her using that sort of latent telepathic ability with the Sensorites. She's got a bit of a fun streak to her to start off with, but she does very much quickly fall into the category of just whining teenager that needs saving to, increase the drama and jeopardy.
With a glass ankle.
Yeah, which, is something that got quite old with some of the companions quite quickly. But I think Susan would be a really interesting... Susan's brought back in the audios quite well and meets up with the 8th Doctor, which I'm not going to spoil because we're going to be starting those soon.
Yes.
But I won't go into the detail, but Susan does have a very interesting reintroduction to the series, and having an older Susan really helps as well. Like, obviously, Carol Ann Ford is not, 19 or whatever she was when she was doing the series back in the 60s. And I think having her more mature and a bit older would give a bit of a different outlook for her anyway, of what's happened, you know. And there's a lot that's happened since we've seen Susan, you know, the Time War and the Timeless Children and Flux and everything. And it's a pretty big bombshell to drop on them. Like, does she know anything and all that? And I think it would work.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially the stuff with the Flux as well. Be nice to see if there was an impact for her on that. Because obviously she was left well in the future in the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Yeah.
Which is a good story. You should check it out, to be honest. It's a very good story.
To be fair, that first series the first series and a bit with Susan is really strong. There's not really a bad one in there. I mean, the Sensorites is a bit naff after the first half,
Yeah.
you know, and Reign of Terror is a bit slow, but the rest of them I think are really good. She's
Yeah.
got a really solid run on TV, to be fair.
Yeah, it would be nice to see her come back and reprise the role and just see how, like, obviously in the audio, in the Big Finish stories, I'm assuming, because I haven't listened to them yet, you get to see a lot of development in her, and there's a lot of like, she gets a lot of character development because the show's come such a long way. The writers are much more differently wired to how they were.
Yeah, and it's not a case of it, oh, this just feels like a different character. You can tell it's still Susan. She's just, you know, Susan in her late 60s rather than, you know, Susan in her early 20s.
Yeah.
It's that level of...
Yeah.
I'm very excited to get through these Eighth Doctor ones, and now that you're all listening to them as well, it's going to be interesting. I think you're in for a treat. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be happening in a couple of weeks, starting off anyway. What's our choice number 2 then, Tom?
Choice number 2 is, of course, Polly.
Polly, what a star. Polly is such an underrated companion, and I love the dynamic of Ben and Polly as well. Two of them, obviously not so much. We wouldn't have Ben back anymore because of Michael Craze is no longer with us, sadly. But Anna Wills is still there. I believe she was even invited back to do the end of Power of the Doctor and the support group. But
the Friends of the Doctor.
Yeah, they couldn't make it work or something, or she just decided she didn't want to do just a one scene and done kind of thing. But I think there'll be some great potential with Polly. I think even though that she's, has moments of being typical screaming girl companion of the 60s, she's also quite modern in a sense. She's the first companion that we have, aside from Ian and Barbara, from current, present day. Everyone else has been here and there after Ian and Barbara. She's got a very logical mind on here. When we see her, basically she's the one that saves the day in the moon base when he was taking down the Cybermen with her the cocktail. She's not afraid to stand up for herself, even though she's more than just a sort of 60s dolly bird. She's got a good what's the word?
Good run.
She's got a good run as well, yeah. I think she's very underrated because just a lot of people haven't seen her stuff because so much of it is sadly missing.
Yeah, she's kind of been done dirty by the sands of time on this one.
Yeah, I mean that's the same for the majority of the Second Doctor's companions, to be fair, with the exception of Jamie, but that's only because he's in basically all of them apart from the first one. But yeah. I love the idea of bringing Polly back. I think she's such an underrated character and an underrated actress as well. And an older Polly, again, having these characters be older than sort of late teenagers, Susan I know is older, but appearing to be late teens, early 20s, and having them a bit older, I think would be an interesting take to go with it.
It'd be a refreshing take as well, because they're not going to have them be that typical 60s scream because I'm a damsel in distress type job.
Yeah, and I think
it's really love to do.
It's something as well that I think that was done quite well in Power of the Doctor with Ace and Tegan, and just showing that slightly older women can still be action heroes and everything.
Yeah,
it's not.
Especially look at Ace, jumping off the top of buildings with a parachute.
Yeah,
at her age.
I know it's
mental. I'm saying she is old.
Well, she's older than she was in the series.
Yeah.
They were all in their sort of late teens, early 20s kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that would work. Speaking of the Second Doctor, though, Jamie McCrimmon is, I think, probably the other obvious choice, especially from the 60s, to bring back.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I had a tear in my eye when Tales of the TARDIS dropped and we got to see Jamie with his memories back and reuniting with Zoe.
Oh, that was beautiful.
It was such a nice little scene, and mentioning Victoria and everything. And that's the thing with Tales of the TARDIS, these returns could, stem from that. We could have a Jamie and Zoe returning and meeting up with the Doctor again after them getting their memories back. And I think that would be such a lovely moment to have the Doctor realise that Jamie's got his memories back as well.
Oh, God, yeah. No, imagine. Especially if it was with Shooty.
Yeah.
As well. That'd be incredible.
Scottish Doctor companion duo.
Yeah.
Why not? I think it'll be a really fun way of doing it. And again, Jamie, not that I think he's underrated, but I think he should be, for me, he'd be, I think, top of the list of people to bring back from the classic series.
Yeah.
Now we've had Ace back, Jamie's top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, it was right to bring Ace back anyways, considering the way that the series wasn't ended with her in the role, unfortunately. But
I think with Jamie, you just get that nice. I think Jamie's reunion would just be such a heartwarming moment to have. The Doctor sort of see Jamie and realise that his memories are back, and the idea that they could not necessarily travel together again, but just speak to each other and just have that moment. I don't know if it would necessarily, you could do a similar sort of thing of maybe he comes back and travels with the Doctor just for a bit, or you give him another ending, a more happy ending. Even dropping him back with his family that he mentions in Tales of TARDIS. He's got like God knows how many grandkids or something now, and he's
I mean, even if it's like what they did with Martha when they brought her back with Donna, in Sun Tyrant Stratagem and Poison Sky.
Yeah,
I'd quite like just having that, maybe a dragged out two episode story, or just two separate stories running along each other, and then Jamie goes back at the end of the last one. But I'd feel it'd have to be quite warm-hearted ones, given his advanced age.
I think it would be. I think it'd be fun. I think Fraser Hines could do it. He's
I just
very
mean
good
from a
actor
running
and-
around standpoint. That's all. I know he, no doubt he could play the role again happily, but.
I mean, obviously, no one's going to make him sort of run around like he was back in the 60s. But I think, I don't think it would necessarily.
Slow down, Doctor. My knees can't take it.
What?
I don't know. It's
Impressions, none, not your game.
no. Started off okay.
Yeah.
Then it just really plummeted. I apologise to any Scottish listeners who I've just upset.
You've upset me, and I'm not even Scottish.
You're stuck with me.
Until someone else fills it. I'm joking.
Okay.
So yeah, those are some solid reasons why I think Jamie should come back. Who else should come back?
Romana is our number 4th pick.
Planned this.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
What would make Romana coming back so special?
Oh, she had such a great run with it was the 4th Doctor, I believe, for both of them.
Yeah, Tom Baker.
For both her runs as Romana and Romana 2. Despite their relationship, they worked really well together. It was nice to have another Gallifreyan on board the TARDIS as well.
We
it's a
spoke
nice
about
change.
that sort of briefly in our Full Circle review, which we would have seen last week. And that dynamic of having them on the same, like obviously no one's going to be on exactly the same level of Doctor, but she holds her own very well. And again, with Romana being a Time Lord, you could have, I think if you're going to bring back Romana, you sort of maybe bring back Lalla Ward as Romana. Obviously, Mary Tammany's no longer with us as well, sadly. And you could have a new Romana as well, because Big Finish have their own Romana, played by Juliet Landau. And, I think with something like that, you've got to bring back the original actor, otherwise what's the point?
Yeah.
If you want to regenerate them have that changeover like the Doctor has.
Yeah.
And give them one last sort of big hurrah and then regenerate into someone else. You got a pun for Romana's male incarnation?
No, we're not going there.
No.
Roman.
Yeah, I was going to say it's quite obvious that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Roman.
Oh, Roman.
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 That's it.
That is it. We're having a hard emphasis there on the Roman. Just because it's Romana.
Romana. Okay, if you say so.
We are having a very simple day today.
Yeah, I mean, we, usually at the forefront of knowledge.
Yes.
See, I couldn't even get the sentence out. Do you have a favourite Romana between the two if you had to pick?
I preferred Romana 2, personally. I felt there was a bit more to do. She had a bit more to do. There was that dynamic with, that real life relationship with Tom Baker as well. And until they started really hating each other, it worked really well. It came
they hate each other? It doesn't come across the screen at all.
Really? No. Just look after Full Circle. But no, because of their relationship off screen, their on screen presence together works really well.
They definitely got chemistry.
Yeah, and even when they were hating each other, the episodes are still good, and they were able to play their roles well, despite the fact they couldn't look at each other or whatever. And they stood at opposite ends on the TARDIS out of spite.
You've watched State of Decay then.
Yes, I have. It was very interesting.
It's the fact that goes through like episode 1 is like, oh, the best mates. Episode 2, when they're in the studio, is like, nah, don't even look at me.
Yeah. It's like, you stay over there, I'll stay over here, and no one touch the console.
Bless.
Yeah.
No, I've got a disagree. My favourite is Romana 1. I think Mary Tam's just brilliant. She got such an elegance to the role, and I do think that they didn't like continue what they started off with at the beginning of the time season, where she's very much on the same level. She does sort of become a bit more of a usual stock companion by the end of it, but she still gives a great performance, and I just think that she's got that chemistry with Tom Baker as well in that sort of beginning, the middle of the Graham Williams era, where it's just about to go into the sort of Tom Baker comedy half hour.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, it's a bit more, it feels a bit more real. I think that you're looking at two characters rather than just two actors that are getting on.
Yeah.
The chemistry really works, and I just think Mary Tam was brilliant.
No, that's fair. And who was pick number 5?
Pick number 5 was... Leela.
Leela, yes.
Well, we've already messed up doing this in chronological order, because our pick that I've just remembered before Romana was Leela.
Yeah. Yes, Leela.
Another interesting one to bring back, very closely linked with the Time Lords in the expanded media, and she leaves the Doctor to stay on Gallifrey with the man she's only just met. Love.
Standard.
It's, as you do.
Typical 21st century behaviour there.
I think Louise Jameson is such a good actress. She plays Leela so well. She gives this, brute savage such a warmth and a heart, and she develops so well across. When she first meets the Doctor to the point where she's leaving, she's not just, I'm going to just stab your face in kind of thing. There's layers to her. She's a complex character. She's feisty as hell, but she's got a big heart, and I think that would only be more emphasised now by bringing back an older Leela. Surviving the Time War somehow and meeting up with the Doctor again. I think there's a lot of untapped potential in there. To be fair.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was nice to see a female companion physically hold their own in the stories. Obviously, intellectually, the female companions of the classic Who could always hold their own to the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, and they usually, the ones who didn't have reason, Victoria is a teenager from the Victorian times, so, she's not necessarily going to be up there with, Liz Shaw, who's a Cambridge graduate and a scientist and all that.
Exactly. But, it was nice for them to kind of break away from that typical classic female companion.
Yeah, she's not the kind to start screaming at a monster.
No, she's
going to try and punch the monster in the face.
Yeah, she's going to run in headstrong and try and deal with it.
I think the only thing that aged a bit badly with Leela, apart from the original idea of having to make Leela black up, which thank God they never did, because that would have been unbearable
horrendous
to watch now, is the outfits were questionable at times, Not all the time, sometimes she gets normal clothes to wear. But the leather bikini was, as they always used to say, was definitely something for the dads and all that. It's not,
Yeah. So it's not something you want to see for your kids watching the show.
Well, it's something that they wouldn't do now. Those days are well and truly behind us. And if Leela came back, she'd be back as a fully rounded character like she was, just
more clothing,
wiser. I could see her coming back as sort of this wise ex-warrior and fighter of the Time War and high-ranking Gallifreyan official. I just think that there's a lot of potential in it. There's potential in all of them. That's why I keep saying that. To be fair.
Yeah, and they all were solid in their series as well, so it'll be nice to see them come back. They're ones we really enjoyed watching.
Yeah, well, there's one more that we haven't got to.
Yes, Miss Martha Jones.
Now, this is, I think, the obvious choice if you're going to bring back a new series companion, because she's the only one that hasn't really had she's had closure to his story and everything, but she's probably been divorced twice now. Thanks to Tom and Mickey.
Yes.
I don't think we'll be seeing Noel Clarke anytime soon, thank God. And
probably for the best.
Oh, yes. So I imagine Martha is now somewhere, hopefully working for UNIT still. Maybe she's been off on a project abroad, very much Harry Sullivan-esque, doing something very secret and things. Only to be brought back into the fold and have a doctor that says, I'm sorry for the way I treated you. I was a complete and utter gobshite. I'm very sorry.
And I generally think she'd get that if she came back during the run with Shooty, because Shooty's a much more Well, you see it
I
in
think
the
he's more emotionally intelligent.
yeah, you see it in the Giggle,
Yeah.
where he's like, "That I'm fine because you got fixed." To Tennant's doctor, like, so seeing that development there is good, and I think it would be a good time to bring back Martha and address what the
Yeah.
doctor actually did to her in that run, because he treated her appallingly.
He did, and I know that there's sort of reasons around him grieving and everything, but you could only excuse so much. And I think we're lucky in the sense that Martha is probably one of the most capable companions we've ever had. I think someone worked out the amount of times that she's responsible for saving the day, like divided by number of appearances, and I think she was very near the top of the list because you think about things like 42, the finale, Smith and Jones,
Human Nature,
Human
Family
Nature.
of Blood.
That's all her.
Yeah.
She's carrying that because, especially that latter half of series 3, because there isn't much of the Doctor in it.
No.
If you think of Family of Blood and everything, then obviously Blink, she's not really in that either. And then the finale, the Doctor's locked in a bloody birdcage and it's Martha saving the day. She's very much, that's all her. And
Yeah.
I think not many other companions could have been able to pull off what Martha did in, only one series as well.
No, like the development for her really did shoot across eventually.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that it kind of felt to me like after the Lazarus experiment, especially, that we were going to get a mid-season change in companion a little bit.
Yeah,
Just because of how the story was going, I was like, well, if they get her out now, while the damage is done, it's not as bad as it could be, and then they kept her in.
I think the whole one trip thing was just appalling, especially how the Doctor sort of going, oh no, I'll keep you on for a little bit and just stringing her along.
Yeah.
It's just a bit unfair, and I'm glad they got away with it, but they should have done away with it after the first trip and be like, oh, do you know what, Sod, why don't you come with me? Rather than just, no, you can have one into the future. Oh, what's one more? Oh, right, you're back home now. Oh, actually, come with me.
Like after all the stuff as well in the Shakespeare Code, that she was quite impactful. Like had quite a lot to do in that as well, in terms of helping the Doctor.
It is, but it's another example of the 10th Doctor also not being aware of Martha's feelings, when she's on about, am I going to get carted off as a slave here in Shakespearean England, Tudor England, and him being like, oh, it doesn't matter, just walk around like you own the place. And it's like, no.
No, that doesn't tend to work.
That might work for you as big Mr. Alien fella, but yeah, I don't know. Martha is the obvious one. I mean, she has a great running Torchwood when she's in that for a bit and sort of shows her life away from the Doctor, and I think we should have a bit more of an explanation to that. Last time we saw her, she's, trying to hunt down a Sontaran, so what's that about? Is that a unit thing? Is that freelancing? Like, what? What is it?
Yeah, I'd love to get an explanation, even if it was a unit spin-off that focused on what happened after Journey's End.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a unit spin-off, I think one of your obvious choices is Martha.
Yeah,
you have Martha and Kate leading that.
You'd have to, and you could get Mel in there. You could have Donna crop up for a couple of episodes as well, because she's now employed.
You got Shirley, and you got Colonel Ibrahim, and the other unit soldiers that we've been introduced to recently. There's a good pool of characters, but I think you've got to have Martha, at the top,
front and centre,
very central alongside Kate.
Yeah.
So those are our picks. If you've thought of any that we haven't, please let us know.
Yeah, drop them down in the comment section below, and we may discuss them. To be honest, if we agree or disagree. Yeah. I don't know.
There'll probably be another reading your comments video soon.
Yes.
So, if there's anything you want us to discuss or anything that you think we should know or things that we've missed, please let us know. We love it.
Yeah, and please don't forget to hit that like button and share the video around, please, because it really helps us, to be fair, and we do appreciate it.
Helps keeps the lights on, as they say.
Yes, very much so. But that's it from us today.
Yeah, baby.
Join us next time where it is going to be Big Finish.
No, we've got a review to do first.
We have got a review to do first.
I think we'll probably record the Big Finish one first, but we've got a review to do of a... well, we won't give it away yet, but we will drop you a hint that it was a very controversial new series episode. Don't worry, it's not The Timeless Children. I don't think I can put Tom through that so close to his birthday.
No, God, no. Please do not.
It'll come up in the wheel at some point, though, and we've got to do it. That's the rules.
It will, and I am dreading it.
But the one we're reviewing next week isn't much better. That's all we'll say. So if that sounds interesting, you know what to do.
Yes.
Goodbye.
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 Go away.